A boy gave his piggy bank full of money to a poor family. 3 years later, he met them and couldn't believe his eyes. Mauricio grew up in a fairly wealthy family where his parents always tried to fulfill his desires. The boy had a bicycle, a scooter, roller skates, gadgets, a train set, and many other expensive toys. Mauricio always wore stylish clothes and came to school not by bus like most children, but in his father's car. However, the boy was not spoiled. His parents managed to instill in him moral values. He knew that all people are equal and that you should treat others the way you want to be treated. Mauricio had a dream. He wanted to travel the world, learn new things, and make amazing discoveries by exploring other countries. Of course, when he was younger, the boy even dreamed of flying into space, but when he realized that it was hard to achieve, he settled for distant travels. He really wanted to fly somewhere by plane, and one day his dream came true. When he was 10 years old, the boy went with his parents to visit his Uncle Lucio, who lived in California. Mauricio was not afraid at all to fly on a plane. He liked looking through the window at the clouds and tiny cities below. When the plane landed, the boy looked around with surprise and interest as he found himself in another country where people spoke a language unfamiliar to him. Uncle Lucio met them at the airport. When he saw Mauricio's parents, he waved his arms vigorously to attract their attention. The boy had never seen his uncle in person before. When Mauricio was born, he had already moved to the United States. What if Uncle doesn't like me? Mauricio worried. But his fears were unfounded. When they approached Lucio, the man smiled broadly at the boy and shook his hand firmly. "Welcome to California, buddy," he said cheerfully and winked at Mauricio. The boy immediately felt at ease and happy. It was absolutely impossible to get bored in Lucio's company. He constantly told funny stories from his life and the lives of his many friends and acquaintances, joked and laughed. Mauricio quickly realized that the 2 weeks in California would be fun and unforgettable. And so it was. Uncle did everything to make their stay in America memorable. He took them to the beach, where Mauricio built castles out of golden sand and swam in the warm waves. Lucio showed them around the city where he lived and showed them the sights. Uncle introduced them to his best friends, who came over with musical instruments and held impromptu concerts. In general, the 2 weeks flew by like a single day for Mauricio. He didn't even notice when the morning came that they had to go back to the airport. The night before, they packed their things and spent a long time sitting at the table in Lucio's living room, sharing their impressions of the vacation and the sadness of parting so soon. "Don't worry so much." Uncle Lucio laughed, looking at Mauricio's parents. "I'll come visit you soon, and we'll see each other again. We have plenty of adventures ahead of us." Mauricio knew that his uncle was telling the truth. He always kept his word. So, the boy was almost not sad to leave, even though he had grown to love Lucio dearly. When his dad and mom left the room for some reason, Uncle got up and took something off the shelf. "This is for you, Mauricio," he said, handing the boy a package. "For me?" Mauricio was surprised. Uncle nodded happily. The boy tore the wrapping paper and saw a cute porcelain piggy bank with a slot on its back. It had black bead eyes and short pink legs. "A piggy bank," the boy gasped. "Exactly," Lucio confirmed. "And I've already put a couple of coins in it." Mauricio shook the piggy bank in delight. "Wow! Cool," he exclaimed, hearing the clinking of the coins. "This is the most wonderful gift in the world." "Thank you, Uncle." Lucio blushed a little. He was very pleased that his nephew appreciated his effort. "I hope that when I come to visit, your piggy bank will already be full to the top," he said. Mauricio smiled and nodded. "I'll do my best," he simply replied. The next day, Uncle Lucio drove them all to the airport. As he said goodbye to him, Mauricio hugged the piggy bank tightly to his chest. The flight went very well, and soon life returned to its usual routine. Mauricio's school holidays ended, and the boy dove back into his studies. However, he did not forget about his uncle's gift for a single day. wherever he was, Mauricio always looked for coins for his piggy bank. Sometimes the boy found them on the street, other times his parents gave them to him, and sometimes Mauricio found small jobs and earned real wages. The piggy bank gradually filled up, but not as quickly as the boy would have liked. A lot of time passed, and Uncle Lucio came from America to visit them. Mauricio was very happy to see him. "Uncle, but I haven't had time to fill the piggy bank with coins yet," Mauricio confessed. "No problem." Lucio smiled. "You have plenty of time ahead." They had fun again. Uncle went with Mauricio to the park to ride scooters and roller skates. A couple of times they went to the movies and watched horror films, which later gave Mauricio nightmares. However, he still didn't regret anything. One day they were walking around the city, and Lucio suggested they climb onto the roof. The boy looked at him in fright. "Are you sure it's okay?" he asked. "Why not?" Lucio shrugged cheerfully. They entered one of the courtyards and took the elevator to the top floor of the building. The hatch was open, and they easily climbed onto the roof. "Wow, it's so cool," Mauricio admired, feeling the wind blowing through his hair. "See, and you were afraid," Uncle replied, laughing cheerfully, and added, "Just don't tell your parents about this. Otherwise, they won't let you go anywhere with me again." Mauricio nodded and gestured as if he was zipping his lips. Every day with his uncle was unique, but then came the moment when he had to leave. After that, life seemed boring and dull to Mauricio. He went to school, met friends, but he terribly missed his uncle's adventurous spirit. At night he dreamed about climbing high mountains or diving to the sea bottom with Lucio. Sometimes during lessons, Mauricio suddenly began to imagine that they became pirates or set out to explore a distant and unknown desert. Mauricio's parents noticed that the boy often felt sad, so one day they decided to take him to a fair in a neighboring town. "It will entertain him and help him take his mind off how much fun he had with his uncle," his father said to Mauricio's mother. She agreed with her husband. She also wanted to go somewhere to escape the routine. "Can I take my piggy bank to the fair?" Mauricio asked. "It's almost full." "Of course," his mother replied. "The coins will come in handy. You can play arcade games and buy sweets." Mauricio thought for a moment. "But then I'll have to break Uncle's piggy bank," he was scared. Dad came closer and, taking the porcelain pig in his hands, examined it carefully. "Not necessarily, son. You can take out the rubber plug on its belly and remove a few coins." Mauricio sighed in relief. "Then I'll definitely take the piggy bank to the fair," he decided. Early on Saturday morning, the family put a bag of food for the road and some other useful things in the trunk. Then they all got into their family SUV, and his father started the engine. "Onward to adventure," he said cheerfully. "Hooray!" shouted Mauricio and his mother. The boy was holding his uncle's gift tightly to his chest again, though now it had become much heavier. As they traveled, everyone was in high spirits, although Mauricio occasionally sighed sadly, thinking of Lucio. "If only he were here with us," thought the boy. "We'd have even more fun." He had never been to a fair before and now eagerly anticipated the joy and pleasure of the upcoming event. On the fairgrounds, there was a lively buzz, and cheerful music played. Everything around was decorated with colorful garlands and bright flags. Tempting, appetizing smells made the boy's head spin. The aroma of roasted popcorn, cotton candy, and freshly baked buns filled the air. All around the square, striped tents offered various entertainments, shooting galleries, toy fishing, darts, and more. Mauricio stopped by a tent with balloons shaped like characters from cartoons and children's shows. His parents bought him a large robot-shaped balloon, which he held tightly by the string to prevent it from flying away. In the center of the square were rides and carousels. Mauricio dragged his parents to the roller coaster, where everyone screamed in a chorus of fear and delight. After the ride, his dad suggested they try some street food. They bought hot dogs in colorful buns, potato chips, and sweet corn on the cob. Mauricio devoured the treats eagerly. Later, the boy went to the arcade and played several video games, using coins from his piggy bank. When the sun set, the fair lit up with a myriad of golden lights. It became very cozy. Mauricio and his parents headed to the stage, where local musicians were performing. The melodies were so infectious that Mauricio and his parents couldn't resist and started singing and dancing with the crowd. The magical atmosphere of the fair stayed with Mauricio. He was very happy. However, as they were walking to the car, he noticed something that instantly saddened his heart. An old blanket was spread out by the roadside. On it sat a poor man and woman, the latter holding a small girl. Another girl, who looked about Mauricio's age, was twirling barefoot on the dusty road, trying to catch a butterfly. Despite her oversized dress, her movements were graceful and elegant, and Mauricio couldn't help but admire her. Coming to his senses, he looked back at her family. Their clothes were worn and torn, their hair hung in dirty strands. They are homeless, thought Mauricio. He noticed the younger girl clinging fearfully to her mother, her cute face smeared with dirt. "Mom, why don't these people have a home?" Mauricio quietly asked, tugging at his mother's sleeve. She only shrugged in response. "Perhaps they had some misfortune and lost it." "It's hard to say," she whispered. "Let's hurry to the car." But Mauricio suddenly stopped. He felt very sorry for the homeless family, and an idea unexpectedly came to him. He looked at the piggy bank he was still holding and then at the poor people. They needed more, he decided, and, approaching the head of the family, silently handed him the piggy bank. The man stared at him in astonishment and quietly whispered, "Thank you, boy." The older girl immediately ran to her father to see what Mauricio had given him, while Mauricio quickly ran to catch up with his parents so as not to change his mind. He felt a pang of regret about the piggy bank, as it was a gift from his uncle, but he believed he had done the right thing. On the way home, he told his parents everything, and they supported him. "Mauricio, you did a great job. That family needs money, and you did a very good deed," said his mother. The boy looked at her gratefully. "I just felt a little sad about Uncle's gift. It's a memory of him and our adventures in California," admitted Mauricio. "Don't worry," replied his dad, not taking his eyes off the road. "We'll visit him again, and if you want, Lucio will give you another piggy bank." Mauricio smiled. He was grateful to his parents for always trying to comfort and encourage him in any situation. The boy leaned back in his seat and began to recall the pleasant moments of the past day. The next summer, they indeed flew to visit his uncle again, and he gave his nephew a new piggy bank, which was bigger than the first one. "That's because you're growing," Lucio smiled. Mauricio was very happy to have something gifted by his beloved uncle again. 3 years passed. Mauricio turned 14 and became interested in modern dance, hip-hop, and breakdancing. His parents supported his passion. They attended all of Mauricio's performances, bought him bright sportswear for training, and memorable costumes. One day, his coach suggested he go to a summer camp for dancers, where there would be master classes in various styles and a competition for the best dancer in each style. Mauricio was excited about the idea, and although participating in the camp was not cheap, his parents agreed to send him there for 10 days. Mauricio was over the moon and even called his uncle Lucio to share the good news. His uncle was thrilled and wished him luck. "Too bad I won't be able to attend the competition in person," Lucio said sadly. "Don't worry, Uncle," Mauricio reassured him. "Dad and Mom will come and record it for you." "Wonderful," replied the young man. They said their goodbyes, and Mauricio began packing. He took his favorite t-shirts with cool inscriptions, striped shorts, plaid socks, baseball caps with glow-in-the-dark designs, and many other cool things. "I want to be bright and noticeable," Mauricio decided. He loved being the center of attention, enjoying the admiration of the audience for his well-practiced moves. According to his coach, Mauricio was doing well, but despite this, the boy didn't become conceited and always remained himself. The night before leaving, Mauricio couldn't fall asleep. He kept imagining how his dad would take him to the dance center in the morning, where he would register, say goodbye to his dad, and get on the big bus that would take him and other dancers to the camp. Mauricio knew there would be kids and teens from all over the country and was very nervous about having to compete with them. What if they are much better than me? The boy worried. Finally, closer to midnight, he managed to calm down and fall asleep. He woke up 10 minutes before the alarm. His mom had already prepared breakfast. The buns she had baked were still warm. Mauricio sat down at the table and thoughtfully sipped cocoa and bit into the biggest bun. "Are you nervous?" his mom asked kindly. She always knew his mood right away. Mauricio just nodded in response. "I understand," said his dad, putting aside the morning paper. "But your mom and I believe in you. Always remember that." "Of course," Mauricio smiled. "I know that for sure." After breakfast, the boy quickly brushed his teeth, got dressed, and, taking his suitcase, said goodbye to his room. This tradition had started since his first trip to California. He nodded to his things and quietly whispered that he would return soon. This calmed him and became his sort of talisman. Mauricio knew the journey would go well, and then he would return to his beloved home. His dad put the luggage in the car, and his mom kissed him on the crown, as she always did. Mauricio got into the back seat, and the car started moving. "Well, there's no turning back now," the boy said cheerfully. "Only forward," his dad exclaimed spiritedly and turned on the radio. Lively music started playing. Mauricio immediately began moving to the beat. "Buckle up, son," reminded his father, and the boy obediently fastened his seatbelt. They reached the center in no time. His dad helped Mauricio take the suitcase out of the trunk and gave him a tight hug goodbye. "Well, from here on, you're on your own," he smiled. "Mom and I will definitely come to your competition. Don't miss us too much." Mauricio nodded. "There won't be time to miss you," he admitted. "I'll be training hard and preparing for the competition." They said their goodbyes, and Mauricio went inside. He immediately noticed the reception desk, where his familiar Argentine tango teacher was sitting. "Oh, Mauricio," she greeted him. "Are you ready for the most exciting adventure of this summer?" "Always ready," Mauricio replied cheerfully. After registering, he joined the other kids who were sitting on the couches waiting for the bus. A quarter of an hour later, he and his friends were driving down the highway leading out of the city. The kids were chatting loudly and even singing songs, all anticipating a wonderful time ahead. The dance camp was located on a large pine-covered area. The kids were accommodated in cozy cottages with bright rooms and large windows overlooking the picturesque forest. Each bedroom had comfortable beds with colorful blankets, spacious wardrobes, and posters of dancing people on the walls. The main building, located at the center of the camp, housed a spacious hall with a large stage equipped with bright spotlights and a powerful sound system. This was where the final competitions would take place. In the same building, there was a dining hall where the kids would have their meals. It was decorated with flags and garlands, and the walls were adorned with photos from previous dance sessions at the camp. Mauricio fell in love with the place at first sight, knowing he would spend the next 10 days here. Everything was convenient, festive, and modern, and having his favorite friends around lifted his spirits sky high. After they arrived and unpacked in their designated room, Mauricio suggested they all take a walk around the campgrounds. He was curious to see the other dancers who had come from neighboring towns. Throughout the camp, there were various areas designated for different dance lessons and workshops. Mauricio and his friends quickly found the breakdance spot, a wooden platform decorated with bright, neon-colored flags. "Our first workshop will be here right after lunch," Mauricio noted with satisfaction. The others nodded in response. The kids were already looking forward to the exciting classes ahead. After exploring their area, they moved on. Nearby, they spotted a small fountain with benches around it and decided to get closer. Mauricio noticed a group of unfamiliar girls about their age near the fountain. One of them was twirling around, occasionally raising her arms gracefully. Her smooth and elegant movements seemed familiar to Mauricio, but he couldn't recall where he might have seen her before. As they approached and sat on the benches, one of the girls pointed at them. The others giggled shyly. "Do you want to get to know us?" one of Mauricio's friends asked boldly. The girls giggled again. "Why not?" replied one of them, a tall girl with two funny pigtails. "My name is Chiquita." "Nice to meet you," Mauricio's friend responded, introducing himself. The other boys followed suit. All the girls, except the one who was dancing, introduced themselves as well. Mauricio bit his lip. He really wanted to meet her. In his eyes, she resembled a delicate butterfly fluttering from flower to flower. The girls mentioned that they were into modern pop dancing, while the boys boasted about their passion for breakdancing. Mauricio couldn't take his eyes off his dancing fairy. "Hey, why are you zoning out?" one of his friends nudged him. At that moment, the girl Mauricio was staring at finished her dance and joined her friends. "What's your name?" Mauricio dared to ask her. "Mia," the girl replied, looking him in the eyes. "I'm Mauricio," he responded. "Nice to meet you, Mauricio," the girl smiled, brushing her blonde bangs off her forehead. Mauricio felt himself blushing. His heart pounded in his chest. "Hey, stop staring at her," his friend nudged him again, and Mauricio snapped out of it. Mia was still smiling at him. The kids got up and continued their walk around the camp with the girls. Mauricio and Mia walked together at the back of the group. They started talking and realized that despite their different dance styles, they had a lot in common. Both loved mint ice cream, cats, and reading books about travel. Mauricio told Mia about his Uncle Lucio and California, which he had visited twice. "Wow! That's amazing!" Mia exclaimed, admitting, "I've never been anywhere." "You've got plenty of time ahead," Mauricio assured her, and Mia smiled at him happily. "I only started dancing recently, though I've loved moving to music since I was born. My mom says I learned to dance before I learned to walk." "I believe your mom. You dance beautifully," Mauricio said shyly. Mia blushed. "Thank you for saying that, Mauricio," she thanked him. "But why didn't you start dancing earlier?" he asked curiously. "We couldn't afford the lessons," Mia admitted. "We were always very poor." Mauricio just nodded in response. He didn't know what it was like to have money problems, and he didn't want to pry into his new friend's life. Maybe she feels uncomfortable talking about it, he thought. He asked if Mia liked watching movies and who her favorite characters were, and the girl started talking passionately. They chatted easily for a while, and then all the kids were called to the dining hall for lunch. "See you in the evening," Mauricio said, and Mia nodded with a smile. When the boys were some distance away from the girls, Mauricio's friend, smirking, asked quietly, "Seems like someone's fallen in love, or am I imagining things?" Mauricio blushed deeply. "Leave me alone," he brushed off the comment as casually as he could. In truth, he did feel that way. He really liked Mia. In the dining hall, he kept glancing at her and noticed that she was looking in his direction too. Mauricio shyly looked away. He didn't want to seem pushy. After lunch, the kids rested in their room, then headed to the workshop. The class was very interesting and productive. At the end of the session, the trainer praised the kids and announced that there would be a grand opening ceremony at the main building in the evening. Be sure to attend this concert. There will be performances by the trainers and your peers. Mauricio and his friends eagerly agreed to come. They went back to their cabin to shower, change, and relax after the workshop. Mauricio even managed to take a short nap. In the evening, they went to the concert. It was a spectacular show featuring trainers and young dancers. To Mauricio's surprise, Mia was also performing. She danced in a beautiful white dress to gentle yet rhythmic music, and her performance left the audience in awe. Mauricio felt like he was clapping louder than anyone else. After seeing Mia's performance, he liked her even more. For the rest of the camp days, the boy and girl continued to talk in their free time and became close friends. Gradually, they started discussing the upcoming competitions, which were scheduled for the day before departure. On the day of the pop dance and breakdance competitions, Mauricio met Mia by the fountain. She was sitting on a bench, listening to music on her headphones. Mauricio came closer and waved at the girl. "Mind if I sit next to you?" he asked when she took off one of her earphones. Mia just shook her head and moved a bit to make room for the boy. When Mauricio sat down, she handed him one of the earphones. "Let's listen to music together," she suggested. "It calms me down." Mauricio put on the earphone. They had never shared their favorite music with each other before, and the boy liked what Mia was listening to. He even started tapping his fingers to the rhythm with pleasure. Noticing this, the girl smiled. She was glad that their tastes matched. "Do you remember your first performance at camp?" "I was so impressed by it," Mauricio confessed when Mia turned off the music. "Really?" she asked. "That's so nice to hear. I prepared for it for a long time." "Your dance was amazing," Mauricio added with admiration, and Mia blushed with embarrassment at the compliment. "The contest is today, and I'm really nervous," Mia admitted. "I brought up your performance for a reason. You dance wonderfully, Mia. And you will definitely win," Mauricio replied. They sat by the fountain for a while longer and then went for a walk around the camp. "My parents are coming soon," Mia said. "My mom and dad said they would come only in the evening," Mauricio responded. As they passed by the main building, the boy suggested going to the cafeteria to buy some ice cream. Mia agreed, and as they enjoyed the delicious dessert, they continued walking. They chatted about various things, and Mauricio told a funny story. Mia laughed so hard that she dropped a piece of ice cream on her dress. "Oh no, I got dirty," she exclaimed, trying in vain to wipe off the brown stain. "I think I need to change. Can I walk you back?" Mauricio asked. Mia nodded, and they headed to her cabin together. Mauricio waited outside while the girl changed. When she came out, she was wearing a cute pink dress that suited her very well. Mauricio looked at her with admiration, but fortunately, she didn't notice. "Mauricio, my friends bought strawberries in the cafeteria and want to share them with you," the girl said. "Shall we go inside?" The boy nodded. He felt a bit shy about being alone among the girls, but they were all very friendly, and his awkwardness quickly faded. He sat on Mia's pink blanket on the bed and happily tried the ripe red berries. The girls talked about the upcoming contest and asked Mauricio if he would participate in the breakdance competition. "Yes, I plan to," the boy replied. "But I'm not sure if I can win." The girls all started wishing him good luck. At that very moment, Mauricio accidentally turned his head and saw something on the nightstand that made him gasp in surprise. There stood a piggy bank that looked exactly like the one he once had and gave to a poor family at a fair. "Is that your piggy bank?" Mauricio asked Mia. "Yes," she nodded. "Why do you ask?" The boy hesitated for a moment, unsure of what to say. "I used to have one just like it." "And what happened to it?" Mia asked. "Did it break?" "No," Mauricio shook his head and, stumbling, added, I gave it away." He didn't want to tell the whole truth and make himself look like a hero in the eyes of the girl he liked. "This piggy bank has a very interesting story," Mia said quietly so that only Mauricio could hear. "I'll tell you about it, but later." Mauricio realized that Mia didn't want to talk in front of her friends. They chatted for a while longer about various dance topics and ate strawberries when suddenly Mia's smartphone rang. Mauricio noticed that it was very expensive. Mia answered the call and, turning to Mauricio with excitement, exclaimed, "My parents have arrived. Will you come with me? I want to introduce you to them." Mauricio felt a little nervous but nodded in response. They left Mia's cabin and headed to the parking lot. There, the boy saw a big bright orange SUV, from which a man and a woman emerged. They seemed vaguely familiar to Mauricio. It was clear that these people were quite well off. The man wore an expensive suit and a gold watch, while the woman was dressed in a light dress adorned with a pearl necklace and earrings. "Mom, Dad, where's Sophia?" Mia exclaimed anxiously. "Couldn't she come?" "Your little sister is feeling unwell," the girl's mother replied sadly. "I left her with the nanny because your father and I couldn't miss your contest." "I'll text her," Mia responded. While she was typing the message, Mauricio tried to remember where he had seen these people before. "Oh, I haven't introduced you to my friend." Mia suddenly remembered. "This is Mauricio, and these are my mom and dad." Mia's father shook Mauricio's hand, and her mother smiled warmly. "Nice to meet you," the boy said politely. He couldn't shake the feeling that he had seen them before. And then he remembered the piggy bank he saw in Mia's room. Something clicked in his mind, and he suddenly realized where he knew these people from. They were the very same poor family he had given his uncle's gift to. But how was this possible? The boy could not believe his eyes. The girl's expensive smartphone, the gold watch and jewelry, the luxurious car. How had Mia's family become rich so quickly? Could it be related to his piggy bank? But it only contained small coins. Mauricio decided to find out everything from Mia, and when her parents went to have coffee in the cafeteria, he took the girl aside and gently asked, "Do you have a little time?" Mauricio asked. "Yes, but why do you ask?" Mia was surprised. "Tell me the story of your piggy bank, please," he requested. "Do you really want to know?" The girl sighed. Mauricio nodded. "All right," Mia agreed, and they walked along one of the paths under the tall pine trees, which provided pleasant shade and filled the air with their unique aroma. "Remember I said that my family was never wealthy?" Mia began. Mauricio nodded again. "We were really very poor," Mia said, her eyes misty with memories. "To be honest, we were destitute and lived on the streets because my father had accumulated too many debts. We were evicted from the house we rented because we couldn't pay for it for 6 months." Mauricio shuddered at hearing this. He couldn't believe that delicate and graceful Mia had once lived on the streets. "How terrible," he whispered. "It was awful, but what saved me was having my loved ones nearby," Mia confessed. "What happened next? And what does your piggy bank have to do with it?" "We wandered around different parts of the city looking for a better place to live, and one day we accidentally ended up at a fair," Mia began to tell. When Mauricio heard the word fair, he flinched. The image of a dark street, where a girl in an old baggy dress danced with a moth, vividly appeared before him. Meanwhile, Mia continued talking, and Mauricio focused all his attention on her words. "It was dark. I remember my parents and younger sister were sitting in the grass by the roadside, and I was dancing to a tune playing in my head, trying to mimic the night moths. A family walked past us. They seemed quite well off. Mom and Dad walked ahead, but the boy for some reason stopped. He had this piggy bank in his hands, and he unexpectedly gave it to my father. It was so kind and touching of him that I couldn't believe it at first. I thought that all wealthy people were very selfish and only thought about their own desires and needs." Mauricio didn't know whether to confess to Mia that the boy she was talking about was actually him. Finally, he decided that the most important thing in friendship is to always be honest. "That boy, Mia," he began. "Yes?" the girl said, looking him in the eyes. "It was me," Mauricio confessed. "That piggy bank was a gift from my uncle from California." Mia gasped, covering her mouth with her hand. "That can't be!" she exclaimed. "It's true," confirmed Mauricio. They were silent for a while, and then Mia said something that made Mauricio think. "I don't know what happened, but after you gave us your piggy bank, we suddenly had money." "But that can't be!" Mauricio protested. "The piggy bank only had small coins in it." Mia just shrugged in response. "Maybe your piggy bank is lucky?" She smiled. They stopped by the fountain. I need to go prepare for the contest, Mia said, and, kissing Mauricio on the cheek, she ran off. The boy sat on a bench and watched the water jets of the fountain for a long time. He didn't understand anything, but he was happy for Mia and her family. An hour later, Mia's contest began. Mauricio took a seat in the front row for a better view. Mia's parents were also sitting there. Her mother waved at him kindly, and her father nodded his head. Mauricio knew that right now, backstage, Mia, her friends, and other girls dancing contemporary pop dance were getting ready to show their best skills, and he was very anxious for his friend. Mauricio wanted her to win. The first contestants began to come out onto the stage, decorated with colorful balloons. The enthralled audience watched the dizzying pirouettes and acrobatic tricks, applauding in amazement. Finally, Mia came on stage. She was wearing an airy lavender dress, and her hair was adorned with a golden ribbon. Her movements were delicate and graceful, like a butterfly's flutter. She performed a dance full of sensuality and beauty, but at the very end, she suddenly stumbled and almost fell. Despite this mistake, the audience enthusiastically applauded the girl. Mauricio was impressed and at the same time upset, thinking that Mia probably wouldn't get first prize because of her mistake. She must have been very nervous, Mauricio thought sadly. He decided to leave the hall and find the girl to support her, knowing how much she wanted to win. Mauricio didn't notice that Mia's father also got up and headed to where the chief judge of the contest was sitting. The boy found the girl in the corridor. She was sitting on a windowsill, her face buried in her knees, crying. Mauricio approached and gently patted Mia on the head. She lifted her head and looked into his eyes. "Now I won't be the winner," she said simply. "But your performance was the best," the boy reasonably noted. "You don't need a trophy to know that." Mia smiled through her tears. "Do you really think so?" she asked. "Of course," Mauricio nodded. At that moment, Chiquita, Mia's friend, ran up to them. "Hurry, they're announcing the contest results," she exclaimed, out of breath. They hurried back to the hall just as the host was about to announce the winner's name. So, the first prize in the contemporary pop dance contest goes to Mia Cabello. Applause, friends. Mauricio and Mia couldn't believe their ears when they heard this. How is this possible? Everyone saw Mia stumble during the dance, Mauricio thought. Mia was also stunned by the judge's decision, but nonetheless, she went on stage and took the winner's gold trophy. Her parents immediately followed her and hugged her tightly. Her father was very happy, and her mother laughed with joy. "Dad, Mom, I didn't think I could get the top prize because of my mistake," Mia whispered in confusion. "Your mistake doesn't change anything," her father cut in. "You're the best." His words seemed strange to the girl, but she was too excited to pay attention to it. After the contest, Mauricio caught up with Mia and her parents. "Mia, can I talk to you for a minute?" he asked. "Of course, Mauricio," the girl replied and stepped aside with him. "How did you manage to win?" the boy asked, knowing he might offend Mia with his question. "I don't know, the judges decided so," the girl shrugged. "I don't understand anything myself." "It's great that it turned out that way," Mauricio admitted, though he felt conflicted inside. All of this was too strange. "Yes," Mia agreed with him. Apologizing, the girl went to catch up with her parents. At that moment, Mauricio's smartphone rang. His parents had arrived, and he finally remembered that his breakdance contest was about to start soon. He rushed to the parking lot to meet his mom and dad. After a tight hug, his parents wished him luck and headed to the concert hall. Mauricio ran to his room to change. For a while, the boy put thoughts about Mia's contest out of his mind, focusing on the challenge ahead. Before going on stage, Mauricio was very nervous, but pulling himself together, he took a deep breath and, gathering his strength, took the first step. He hoped that Mia was watching his performance too, and to his great joy, he noticed her in the front row. Then the boy heard his favorite music, and his body started dancing on its own. The next 3 minutes went by in a blur. The boy, losing himself, performed tricks, fully giving himself to the music. In the end, Mauricio didn't win the contest, but he took third place, and his parents were very proud of their son. There was only one day left before they were to go home. In the morning, the boy received a message from Mia. "You were right. I want to talk to you, Mauricio. Let's meet at the fountain in 5 minutes," she wrote. Of course, Mauricio replied. "I shouldn't have won that contest," Mia confessed when the boy approached the fountain and sat next to her on the bench. "How come?" Mauricio was surprised. "It's all because of my father," Mia replied bitterly. "He approached the judge and quietly offered him a bribe for awarding me first place." "What?" The boy couldn't believe it. "Yes, my father acted dishonestly," the girl said. "When I found out about it, I asked him to go to the judge and annul the contest results. As a result, the first place was given to another girl, and I took second." "You did a very noble thing, Mia," Mauricio said. "Thank you for supporting me," the girl said, almost crying. Mauricio gently hugged Mia and stroked her hair. "I'm your friend, after all," he whispered. In the evening, there was a grand celebration. The children danced and ate sweets, and when it got dark, they sat by a large bonfire, sharing stories and impressions of their first dance camp experience. Then, the sky above the camp was lit up by fireworks. Mauricio sat by the fire next to Mia, feeling a pang of sadness knowing they would have to part ways the next day. "I will never forget this moment," he said to Mia. "I'm so glad we became friends," the girl replied. "Me too," admitted the boy. Then he paused for a moment and asked the question that had been troubling him. "Will we stay in touch when we go home? We're from different cities." Mia nodded without hesitation. "I would really like that," she confessed, and Mauricio felt very happy. When the boy returned home, his Uncle Lucio from California called him. "Imagine this, nephew, there's something," he said, somewhat confused. "What happened?" Mauricio asked, alarmed. "The thing is, I accidentally put an ancient coin, which I found in an underwater cave, into your first piggy bank," his uncle said with a laugh. "What?" The boy couldn't believe it. "Seriously. I looked for it for a long time and only recently realized that I had accidentally mixed it up with regular money. So, I gave your rare coin to Mia's family." Mauricio realized. "Who is Mia?" "Oh, you mean those homeless people you met at the fair?" his uncle guessed. "Exactly," Mauricio confirmed. "Then they were very lucky. That coin was indeed very rare. So that's why they got rich so quickly," the boy understood. Uncle Lucio laughed heartily. "So, you became their benefactor?" he smiled. Mauricio decided not to tell Mia about this. The boy and the girl continued their friendship and often visited each other to walk in the park or go to the movies. They grew up, and with them grew their friendship, which gradually turned into a more tender feeling. When Mia and Mauricio finished school, Uncle Lucio invited them to visit. It was the girl's first big trip and her first time flying on an airplane. Mia and Mauricio had a great time in California, and their relationship grew even stronger. The young people enrolled in the same university and eventually decided to get married. Besides studying, Mia continued dancing and gradually became a well-known dancer. Mauricio was very proud of his wife. Together, they often traveled to different countries where Mia performed in large concert halls. After several years, the young couple decided to have a child. They had a daughter who looked very much like her mother and started dancing even before she could walk.